Bam! If you're watching this, you probably make doo-doo water, hot buns melodies. Me? I make great melodies that have gotten placed with artists that have more people listen to them in a single month than you will talk to in your entire life. So here's absolutely everything that I know to make your melodies drastically better. No money back guaranteed. So whenever I start out making a melody, I need to get my tempo, my BPM, what my bounce is gonna be. So I'm gonna go in here, right click this and just tap something out. That 152 just kind of felt right. Now for dark trap, it's really important to know that D sharp, D, C sharp, and C minor are some of the most common scales you'll see. So I'm just gonna go for D sharp, and this is where I gotta lay down my bass notes. I like to go with a 1-6 progression like this, but for trap, it's good to go with like a 1-2-4, 1-4-2, throw in a 6, any kind of combination of those, and you've got something fire. It's really important to keep your chord notes close together because otherwise it's just gonna sound janky and like it's jumping all over the place. For some added tension, I'm gonna take this second 1 chord here and I'm gonna take the third of the chord, which is just this note right here. I'm gonna bring that down to the second, so it's gonna be a suspended chord. It's gonna sound a little more tense. Ooh! Now I need to chop this up, give it some rhythm, because rhythm is one of the most important parts to a melody. This is where your bounce is gonna come from. Now, what I'm gonna do is probably just like something pretty basic like this to start out, and I'm just gonna build off of that. There's definitely a faster way to do this, but I like to take the long way. Now I think I could move the third of the chord, like the middle note here, and just kind of offset that and have a little bit better bounce. Ooh! Yo, that's diabolical. That is diabolical. I'm gonna switch the instrument because we kind of have the OG idea and we just build from there. I'm gonna go for like a staccato violin. That's the idea. Okay, I need to pitch this down because it's a little bit high pitched. Okay, just to give it a little bit more bounce, we can add in some notes that are playing just in other times to give it a little bit more harmony. Not enough people are talking about this when it comes to melodies, and that is just structure. A lot of people struggle with having a good structure to their melodies, kind of repeating similar rhythms. That is the main focus to having a structure, but also kind of just adding in little variations like this here and there. Because this is like a more human supposed to be sounding instrument, I'm just gonna randomize the velocities a little bit. And pretty much once you just kind of have some idea of chords going on somewhere, you just want to build off of that. And to build off of that, a lot of it just kind of comes down to layering, texturing, making it sound better. And one of my favorite ways to just make my chords and what I have sound better and more cinematic is to add in like a really low brass sound. Now I'm gonna render this out. From this point, I just like to hear what I've got, find any kind of little ideas I can find anywhere along the way, put those down as fast as possible in FL keys. Even if they're really simple ideas, it works out. Sometimes having an idea that's a little too crazy, a little too busy is not always a good thing because it takes up a little bit too much room in the melody and keeps your melody from sounding good because you got one pattern just doing too much. Now let me like switch out this piano for something useful. Let's go like, I guess, deep. Really important thing to keep in mind with your melodies is impact. When your melody comes in, you want to have a distinct section that hits. Right when the hook comes in, you know it's got to hit, and the melody can help with that. What I like to do a lot of the times is add in some kind of instrument or just something that has an initial transient to it or some kind of initial punch or impact. Great example is like a piano. Strings can kind of work. Definitely not my favorite though. And from here, it's just chord notes and non-chord notes. Another great way to add bounce to your melodies is by adding in a percussive element, so you can throw in like a perk loop or something like that. And sometimes if I'm feeling a little crazy, I'll throw some reverb on it as well. But that's not all. I'll render it out again and just pitch it down another octave. Maybe even fade the stereo, who knows? By now, you should be able to kind of hear some kind of top line in your head. If you can't, you can just hum something out. You want it to be catchy though. A great way to make your melody more catchy is to think about the structure. So a lot of structures will have one section repeat and then two sections that are very similar, but they'll differentiate a little bit. So for me, I've got this AABC structure going on. Now I'm gonna change this instrument because I don't want a piano. What I want though is I want a flute from my Overgloom trap bundle. Some sauce for some MIDI flute patterns is to just make a lot of the notes a lot shorter, especially when you have a busy section like this. I wanna sauce up the flute because it feels a little out of place. When I'm doing this, I like to find weird kind of sounds like this, just something I can render out and turn into a texture. And this, I think, is something like I could pitch up and just speed up and make into something. Now, when you're making melodies, it's super important to ask yourself, what is this melody missing? Whether that be some impact or just some more depth to the melody, you can always add that in. And I feel like my melody is definitely missing some kind of impact, so I'm gonna throw in the yeet bell. I'm probably not gonna get too crazy with it. I just want to add a little bit of impact. For some extra sauce, if you are doing some kind of bell stutter or just using one shots, play around with some panning. You might find something you like.